Welcome to the Vitamin Professor podcast, brought to you by VRM Media, publisher of Vitamin Retailer and Nutrition Industry Executive magazines, in partnership with Nutraland USA. I'm your host, Gene Bruno, Professor Emeritus of Nutraceutical Science and Chief Scientific Officer of Nutraland USA. The purpose of this podcast is to help educate the dietary supplement industry about the science of nutraceuticals and other relevant topics. If you like what you hear and see, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. Nicole Hodson, NC, BCHN, CDSP, is a graduate of Bauman College and the executive director of the National Association of Nutrition Professionals, also known as NANP. After significantly improving her and her husband's health through whole food nutrition and lifestyle interventions, Nicole left the managed healthcare industry to pursue a career where she could effect more positive change. She's been with the NANP since 2007. Her passion for the industry is infectious, and she has made it her life's mission to promote whole food and evidence-informed nutrition and those who teach it. Nicole is wholly dedicated to putting holistic and functional health professionals to work and protecting their right to practice. When she's working, that is, when she's not working, you'll find Nicole in the kitchen. A dedicated foodie, she's continuously honing her cooking skills. Whenever possible, she and her drummer husband take the stage in the Nicole Hodson Quartet to share their love of jazz standards and the great American songbook. Nicole lives in Northern California's gold and wine country with the love of her life and their toy poodle, Louie. Today, Nicole is going to talk to us about NANP and specifically about the Certified Dietary Supplement Professional Credential. Welcome to the Vitamin Professor, Nicole.
Thank you, Gene. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm just excited to talk to you. I always look forward to our conversations, so thank you for having me.
I do too. And full disclosure for our listeners, I have known Nicole for a number of years. And so I'm just absolutely delighted to have her as a guest on the Vitamin Professor. I think she's done so much for nutrition professionals and now so much, I think, for even our industry, the dietary supplement industry. And you'll learn why I say that as we go along in today's podcast. So, Nicole, I think the first thing we should start with is I would like you to sort of answer the question, who is the National Association of Nutritional Professionals? What are they about?
Yeah, so the NANP is really the only professional business league that is completely dedicated to furthering the cause of holistically trained nutrition professionals. And so it's our mission to make sure that those people are able to practice to their level of education and that we're able to be out in the world helping people reach their health goals as best we can. And we currently have a little over 1,200 members nationwide and beyond the borders of the United States. We certainly have people from all over the world. We also have about 400 people who are board certified in holistic nutrition. Gene, you were a part of developing that exam, so we're thrilled to see so many people carrying that credential now. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to promote and advocate for holistically trained nutrition professionals.
Well, that's a great introduction to it. And I just want to say that I remember very well the whole process of putting together the board exam. It was so meticulous and so thought out. I was actually very proud to be part of it. And when somebody gets that credential, to me, it's very, very meaningful. And that's why when we talked some years back about a new credential, I was thrilled at the prospect. So, which Nicole leads with the question, what is the Certified Dietary Supplement Professional Credential?
So The CDSP, we shorten it so for expediency. The Credential was actually the brainchild, if you will, of a major worldwide retailer. They came to us and said, we do something unique with our wine department. We pay for people who work in our wine department to go to sommelier school. And what we've discovered is that they are actually selling more and better quality wines because they understand the wines better and they can talk about the wines better to our customer base. We want to do the same thing for people who work in our whole body department and who are selling our dietary supplements to consumers. But we want a national body to create the certification. Would NANP be interested? Our board of directors said, this is an interesting prospect. It's a niche that we should fill. There is nothing like it out there. So yes, let's do this. Fast forward several years later, because it took a while to develop this kind of exam. And as you pointed out earlier with the board exam, we're very meticulous about these things. We're very, very careful, and we want to make sure we're doing it right. And so we put a lot of resources into developing a beautiful certification exam that is, I think, the most important thing, Gene. It's not brand specific, right? This is a certification exam where people get an education about dietary supplements, not about a dietary supplement brand, right? And so they're able to speak to all brands and what is right for the consumer, their customer. And so we have a beautiful certification exam. The education will be obtained at a school. We don't offer the certification exam at the association level. It's frowned upon for the organization that provides the certifying exam to also provide the education. So we have an outside entity that provides the education, and we provide the certification and examination.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. I remember the initial discussions on this, and I thought it was a very, very important thing to develop because look, the reality of the situation is anybody who's been in retail at been at the store level, deals with consumer on a day-to-day basis, knows that they come to you and they're asking for some guidance. They've heard about something, they want to ask you about it. And if you're knowledgeable and you can provide that kind of assistance, it makes all the difference in the world. And that difference is not just, oh yeah, I'm going to sell more because I know about the stuff, which is of course true. The more you learn, the more you earn. But also that it really makes a difference in the lives of these consumers. When you can go in and you can provide meaningful information that has a positive impact on their lives. And how does anybody know that you know what you're talking about? And to be able to say and demonstrate, I have a credential, a third-party credential demonstrating I have knowledge of supplements. And so many times people you see I used to teach at the University of Southern California School of Pharmacy, and I taught second-year PharmD students about nutraceuticals. And they had extensive knowledge already of pharmaceuticals, but they didn't know anything about nutraceuticals. They didn't know anything about supplements. And it always amuses me when I see a commercial for a specific brand saying, pharmacist recommended. To me, that's like saying plumber recommended. Okay. I bet they're great at plumbing, but what do they know about supplements? Pharmacists aren't necessarily taught anything about that in pharmacy school. But if they took a program like this, they'd know something and they
Yes.
would know how to recommend it. So somebody who actually has knowledge and can demonstrate it. So I would encourage everybody in our industry who works at the retail level or even is a salesperson selling the supplements to vitamin stores so that when they talk to somebody, they can talk with some level of expertise, showing I know what I'm talking about. These are things that will sell in your store. Here's why. Here's what or maybe the store owner starts asking questions about what they have that might be good for something. And they go, oh yeah, I do have something here. Blah blah blah. I actually learned about that when I was studying for my credential. And so I just want to really impress upon people why I personally think this is a vitally important thing to explore. So,
Yeah. Yes.
and I hope I didn't take too much of the next question that I'm going to ask you, which is, why is this credential important now?
We are at such an interesting time in our history, Gene, and you know this better than anybody probably in the industry, right? We're currently at about 195, billion-dollar industry annually for dietary supplements, and the projection, this is according to Polaris market research, the projection is by 2032, okay, 8 years from now, they're projecting that the industry will be at $380 billion. Okay, so we're on
Wow.
a massive growth trajectory, massive. If you're wanting to take advantage of that growth, this is the time to do it. This is the time to make sure that your team is educated so that they are giving out the best possible recommendations. And also, they're not saying anything they shouldn't be saying. And Gene, you were incredibly
Bingo.
helpful to us in that way. Gene provided us with a document that we actually require people to study when they're preparing for this exam that lays out so beautifully the legal parameters of talking to people about selling them dietary supplements, what to say, what not to say, how to be very, very careful. These are very important issues for people who are working in the dietary supplement industry, but more important for the people who are hiring them to do the work, because nobody wants their company to be liable because an employee made a false claim about a supplement, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so very, very important. Here's what's interesting about our exam and the structure of the exam. The requirement for the legal and dietary supplement quality section of the exam, we're looking for 3 semester credits in just that section. All of the other standards that have to be met, we're asking for 2 semesters, but that piece is such a critical piece that we looked at it and said, no, 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 we need more here. People have to have the utmost understanding of what they should and should not say to people when they're selling dietary supplements. So that's very important. And
Let me
then,
just interject for 1 second for
yes,
our listeners to clarify something who may not be aware of the terminology. We say semester credits, semester hours. We're talking about like 2 credits or 3 credits, just that some institutions base it on a quarter, some base it on a
yes.
semester. So it's not 2 semesters. 3 credit hours is 1 class basically in a
Yeah,
semester, just so you know.
I'm very happy that you said that, Gene, because we equivocate 1 credit to 45 hours of education. That
Right,
includes lecture, that includes
right.
homework, all of those things. So thank you for bringing that up. That's a very important piece. And I think the last thing really about why is this credential important right now? Um, some dietary supplement manufacturers are not as good as others about what they're putting into their, I know,
Say it
uh,
ain't so.
oh no, about what they're putting into their supplements. And
Mhm.
so we created something that actually was unique in the space at the time. I think it still is, which is the Dietary Supplement Quality Guide. You can get that for free on our website, nanp.org, where it lays out so beautifully all of the excipients, what do they mean? It has a beautiful flow of information that explains about dietary supplement quality. There are questions on our exam about dietary supplement quality. I think that's a very, very important part of this certification exam.
Yeah, I agree. And you said a couple of things here that brought a couple of other thoughts to my mind about who should be looking at this credential. So we talk about sort of the obvious, people who are selling products, but there's somebody else. And those are the group of people who are marketing the products. Because I'll tell you, just as there are people who brands who are not as cognizant, shall we say, of the quality of their products. They're not as cognizant about the kinds of claims that they're making. Some of them, with all good intentions, some make claims that are going to get them in a lot of trouble, and they don't even realize it. Others may or may not realize it and don't care because they're making claims that are egregious, that shouldn't be made in the first instance. So let me give you an example of something that has occurred that I see a lot on Facebook. It's a certain mushroom coffee brand that makes egregious claims. Things like no more inflammation, and that's going to shrink your stomach, and that it's going to do all these amazing things. And yet, if you look at what's in the product and you look at the science on those materials, you discover that there's absolutely no science that what they have in there, certainly at the levels they have it, are going to have any impact whatsoever. So either they know and don't care, or they're just that ignorant of what it's supposed to be. I'm thinking the former rather than the latter. And that's so misleading to consumers. Now, for those out there who just don't know and have good intention, I would tell you that getting this credential will really, really help, because instead of wasting your time creating a marketing campaign where you're going to be saying stuff that's going to get you and your brand in trouble, you have a better sense of, oh, here's the things I can say and not say. And oh, by the way, here's a reality check on if any of the things I'm saying are even accurate. And so I would recommend anybody marketing dietary supplements also look into this credential, because I think it's going to be a huge plus for them. Okay, so let's look now that I've extolled the virtues of the CDSP credential, and as have you, Nicole. So answer the question of who qualifies to earn the credential.
So here's the really good news. Anyone can get the education. It's only 8 credits. It's less than $500 to earn the education. That was one of the important parts of the conversation when the retailer contacted us. They said it has to have a good price point, right? So we've done everything we can to keep as much of the process under $1,000 of investment. So it's the education has to be earned first, and anyone can do that because it teaches the anatomy, the physiology, and the biochem that you need in order to pass the certification exam, right? So it's not like you have to come in with that education. That is a part of the education, right? So clerks, people selling dietary supplements, people working on customer service lines at dietary supplement manufacturers or distributors, or anyone really who has an interest and wants to further their career can earn this certification.
Yeah, and you just mentioned customer service people, and oh, you are so right. Customer service people would be exceptionally good to take this. I remember at companies I've worked with, consumers call all the time, they're asking questions, they want to know. And for somebody to understand, A, how to give correct kinds of answers, and also how to answer those questions in a way that's compliant with the regulations and not going to get them or their company in trouble is also a good thing. But first and foremost, to be able to provide good information to the consumer in a way that results in that person actually being helped, actually getting something that's going to make an impact, positive impact on their life. And I also want to say that, so for those of you who are thinking, oh, so it provides some of the biochem and some of the other things, don't panic. That doesn't mean it's a graduate course in biochemistry, but it provides some introductory stuff that you need to know to pass the exam. And it's going to make you a smarter person. So there's really no downside to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was honored to be invited to an employer summit recently in the dietary supplement industry. And the first question that was asked of the employers was, what's the most important thing when you're looking to hire someone to sell dietary supplements for you? And the resounding answer was, I want to hire someone who's not going to get me in trouble. So if that tells you something, right, that really tells you what's important from the employer perspective. The other thing that I did want to point out is we have a lot of marketing materials. So if you have someone on your team or multiple people on your team who pass the exam and become certified, we have little pins that they can put on their apron or their shirt that
Oh, that's great.
identifies, yeah, that identifies that they are a certified dietary supplement professional, certified by the National Association of Nutrition Professionals, right? So people, your consumers, customers can see the credential is right there for them. We have all kinds of items, window clings and uh, uh, cards, rack cards, and things like that are available. So you can let your customer base know we have professionals on our team that will help you get the right dietary supplement.
And listen, just for any individual who's considering this, let alone companies that are considering it for their people, but for individuals, keep in mind that when you get this isn't just a credential you have in association with your current employer. You have this credential, and you can have that credential for life. And wherever you move to, you have that on your resume. You can put that on your business card. It's something that has some real meaning and identifies that you're one of the few people out there who have certified evidence of your knowledge of dietary supplements. So that, I think, is just an incredible thing to consider. And to my knowledge, short of earning a degree in naturopathic medicine or something else, it's really the only credential I know of that says, hey, this demonstrates that I have knowledge of dietary supplements, and you can use that across the board. And whether that's in retail, or let's say even you work in a physician's office, maybe it's a physician who is involved in working with their patients in a holistic way and selling supplements, but you're someone behind the counter there that's working, get yourself up to speed, get that additional credential, and show that, you care about your job at a level that you're saying, I need that additional credential. And it's good for you, it's good for the business, and it's good for your customer, or in that case, the patient. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So what is involved in preparing for the
Mm.
exam?
Yes. So currently, there is one NANP approved school that is offering a program. The American College for Healthcare Sciences offers a program specifically designed to prepare you for this exam. And so the program, like I mentioned earlier, it's less than $500. It's 8 credits and it's self-paced. So if you're highly motivated, you can get through this program very, very quickly. Which I think is absolutely a beautiful thing. So there's the preparation. Some of the materials are in book form. Some of the materials are online. We try to make sure that they're affordable, easily accessible by everyone. On our website, there's a lot of information. If you go to our website at nanp.org and go to certifications and what is the CDSP, there's just a ton of information about how to prepare for the exam. And then in terms of taking the exam, it's a very, very economical price point, $50 for the exam fee, $100 to take the exam, which is very, very affordable. And our application process is uh, non-invasive. I'll say it's non-invasive. We ask for just a few items. And once you get your education, you're ready to take the exam and you schedule your own time and take it when you're ready.
So I thought of something else that just sort of popped into my head. Um, so the opportunity to take the coursework offered by the institution you mentioned is great. What if you have, is there any other pathway? I don't know that there necessarily needs to be, but I'm thinking, what if you have somebody who's been in the industry, say 20 years, maybe they've got prior education, maybe they have stuff. Do they still need to take that, or do they provide evidence of knowledge in another way, or just basically everybody has to do that, go down that
I'm so glad you
single path?
asked because I forgot to mention. So I'm very glad that you asked that question, Gene. We do have a process called independent education review, where Andrea Granson, our educational specialist, program specialist, will look at your education that you have. Maybe you've been to, like you said, you've been in the industry for a long time and you've been to 50 different seminars put on by, lots of different supplement companies, and you have this interesting, educational experience. She can look for evidence that our standards have been met. And if our standards have been met already, then you get the green light to go ahead and take the exam.
Very good. I
Yeah,
was just curious about that because I
yeah,
thought, man, I know a lot of people. I mean, I've
yeah,
been in the industry 45 years, so I know a lot of people, but I know a lot of people who are quite knowledgeable and might say, hey, that might be a nice thing to add to my business card. That might be a nice additional credential. But thinking, why do I need to take this? I already know this stuff.
yes.
Well, if you can and you can demonstrate it, then why not? So cool.
Absolutely. And if you're a licensed healthcare professional, MD, RN, you name it, right? DCs, if you're licensed, you automatically qualify to take this exam because
Right.
we understand that you most likely have the education. We certainly encourage everyone to study for the exam, but in terms of qualifying to take the exam, if you are a licensed healthcare professional, you automatically qualify.
Cool.
Also, if you are a nutrition professional who graduated from an NANP approved school, then you also automatically qualify to take the exam without further education.
Excellent. Now that's great. So there's more than one pathway there, which is awesome.
Yes.
Um, so how can individuals, companies, retailers learn more about the CDSP credential?
So I would encourage you to definitely go to the NANP website. As I mentioned on our main menu, go to certifications, go to what is the CDSP. There's a ton of information there, particularly for individuals. Now, if you're a retailer and you have multiple people or multiple sites that you would like to get um, going, for example, we just had a call from Costco and they're interested, which is fantastic.
That
For
is.
Yeah, for them, I would say I would put you in touch with Tiffany Perry on my team. Her email is Tiffany, Tiffany, at nanp.org. And Tiffany can work with you and help you get set up for a bigger, broader picture. But for individuals, go to our website, check it out. And certainly, if you have any questions, reach out to us at info@nanp.org.
Excellent. Now, although it wasn't necessarily part of our original talk, I also thought, for a lot of people, this is going to be their first exposure to NANP.
Mm,
And NANP, I kind of like people to understand a little bit about the board certified in holistic nutrition credential. So I'd like to just sort of extend this a little bit to mention that because so many years ago, I was involved in that process as well. And so here's my question. Um, what does it actually mean to be board certified in holistic nutrition? And what kind of an education does a person need to have in order to qualify to
mm.
take that exam?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this question, Gene. We're so proud of this credential and the work that you did on this project. So, the board exam in holistic nutrition is the only one like it out there. It truly is an exam about the holistic approach to nutrition. And so, in order to qualify to take the exam, you have to be a professional member of the NANP, which means that you are either a licensed medical professional, healthcare professional rather, or you have graduated from one of NANP's approved schools. And you can find a list of those schools on our website. And it'll tell you the name of the school and it'll tell you which of their programs qualify as having met our educational standards. And so once you graduate from one of those programs, you are then qualified to apply to take our exam. And what I will say about our exam is, and you may recall this, Gene, initially when I came into the NANP, I was actually hired as the director of credentialing
Mhm.
because it was the vision of the organization that it would not only offer board certification, which many other organizations in the nutrition space offer, but they also wanted to credential those who went through the board exam and passed it in the same manner as a registered dietitian gets credentialed when they join a hospital team or when they go to work at a prison or when they join a medical group. There's a formalized credentialing process that takes place. And I had actually managed a department, nationwide department in the managed care industry for credentialing. So when I came on board, it was to make sure that we were following best practices as an association. Traditionally, credentialing does not happen at the industry association level, but we wanted to take that extra step to demonstrate that we are on top of what is happening with each person who claims our credential, including verifying that they have no adverse reports against them with the National Practitioner Data Bank. Very, very important.
Very important. So let me just extend the question slightly. So if they have completed education at one of the approved member institutions, give our listeners an idea of kind of the range of, let's say, degrees or diplomas or whatever that one might earn at any given institution. What would it be and what would it be in? Just
Yeah.
some idea of that.
Sure. So as you can imagine, the titles that are earned from a variety of, 20 or more schools is going to be very, very broad. And so the way that we distilled all of that was by developing a set of educational standards that had to be met by each institution. And so you can earn a certificate in nutrition education, nutrition consulting. Some schools call it nutritional therapy, or you can have a bachelor's, master's, or PhD. So it's a broad breadth of the type of education that you can earn. But the common denominator is that every single one of our approved schools has gone through a very, very rigorous review of their program. They don't enjoy it. But they have to go through it in order to really receive our stamp of approval, which says, yeah, they've met all of these standards. If you go to the school, you're going to get a solid education in holistic nutrition.
And how would you then also differentiate to our listeners, what would be the difference between, at a high level, the certified dietary supplement professional and someone who's board certified in holistic nutrition?
Yeah, great question. So board certified in holistic nutrition is sort of a broader nutritional education, specifically focused on foods, nutrients, pathophysiology, life cycles, all of what encompasses how we practice nutrition, right? It's sort of a broad brush. The certified dietary supplement professional is specific to the dispensation of recommendations having to do with dietary supplements only, not food, right? So while there may be a couple of questions about foods and how foods might interact, the focus of the CDSP really is on dietary supplements. Dietary supplements are a part of the conversation in the board certification, but there's like our biggest domain is about food, right? Because
Makes sense.
holistic nutrition starts, food is foundational. Having said that, I will say, especially for the conversation that we're having today, when I was in nutrition practice, I can say to you that over 65% of my annual revenue was from the sale of dietary supplements.
And that makes a lot of sense, because for anybody out there who is unaware of this, if you just look at our own governmental data from the U.S. Department of Education, USDA, thank you.
Yes.
You'll find that about 10% of Americans eat a good diet. Now, good diet in this case being defined as somebody adhering to the My Plate recommendations or the prior My Pyramid recommendations. Now, that being the case, 10%. That means 90% are not. So And if you are one of the 10%, again, by the USDA data, if you look at the sort of the mythological 2,000 calories a day average diet, and you look at the nutrients that provides, you're still going to fall short of several nutrients of the levels you're supposed to take in, making an exceptionally good case for why one needs to use dietary supplements to help shore up those differences. And of course, a lot of people use supplements for other than just strictly nutritional needs. They may be using certain herbs or other nutraceuticals for other health considerations. And so, that goes apart from just supplementing the diet for food. But yeah, so it makes sense that a good part of your the money you earned in what you did come from supplement sales. And I am a very, very firm believer that virtually everybody should be using some dietary supplements. So, and again, that's what makes this credential, the CDSP credential, so important in helping to guide people in the right angles there. So, let me just ask, is there anything that we didn't cover regarding the credentials or NANP in general that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Well, if I could, I would just like to say that we do get together once a year. And so NANP does host an annual conference called HealCon. We have an incredible expo. If anyone is interested in looking into having a booth and getting to know our attendees, our conference will be at the Lowe's property on Coronado Island the first weekend of May in 2025. It's a wonderful opportunity to get face to face with people who can sell your dietary supplements. It's a great place to meet others, and of course, the educational sessions that we have are absolutely superb. And so it's a wonderful time. So thank you for letting me share that information, Gene, and I'm hopeful that we'll get to see you at conference someday very soon.
That's great. So again, I'd like to just encourage, and I'm doing this a whole lot more in this podcast than I do with most, but perhaps it's because I've been personally so involved in these processes with NANP in the past. But I really think that this credential is extraordinarily important, and it's available to virtually anybody who wants to earn it. And I would highly encourage you to visit the nanp.org website to start looking into it, and then to proceed with the process if you're at all interested. That's almost anybody in our industry, with the possible exception of people who are working in the accounting department who may not care about it.
Maybe not.
Maybe not, yeah, but almost anybody else. Okay, so Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing this very important information. And again, I think that if more people would consider this credential, I think it would be a better industry. We'd have less problems. People would be making better recommendations, and people would be avoiding getting themselves and their employers in trouble by making claims that are not allowed. So thank you for joining us, Nicole.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you so much.
And I just want to say to those of you who are listening, if you like what you heard, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.